Welcome, everybody. It's me, Barry White Hansen, and this is Comics and Consoles. And as always, I have my co-host Winston Hodges.
Yes, sir.
And Winston Hodges brought somebody very special with him. Who did you bring with you, Winston Hodges?
Man, I brought a great friend. I was in his wedding. He's a hilarious comic and a streamer as well. I brought Brandon Cole Beswick. Everybody.
Hello, hi. I do stream. I would not call myself a streamer, but I do.
Oh, you're a streamer, dude. You stream, bro.
I complain about doing an hour of streaming, so I don't know if that counts as anything that anyone.
Yeah, this is my hour a week of court-ordered community service streaming that I do.
And we may have Keith Marcel joining us later. I don't know. Maybe he didn't get the memo. We're not sure.
I guarantee he thinks it's 5 o'clock Central. Like he's in a different time zone. There's absolutely no way he doesn't realize.
We're all in the exact same time.
He's like, of course they're catering to me.
Why not?
And he's just zoned out somewhere.
Enjoying himself.
So I think our first topic, as we know, Cyberpunk had a rough year. I think
called it.
Yeah, you called it. You called it. You were one of the
I was on the money with how that shit was going to turn out.
And they've pulled it from the PlayStation and Xbox store. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that they should have done that, or do you think they should have left it up, try to let them fix the problem?
What do you think, Brandon?
Oh, fuck that. No, pull it down. I mean, it makes me so mad. Why are you building inferior products and trying to bullshit people? What are you doing? Like, it's not it's. I hate to bring it back to it's about capitalism, but it's the idea. Like, why did you ever bullshit it? Just make it for the next generation consoles and have it work great instead of fucking dicking around and giving a shit.
Putting it on so much shit. Agreed.
Yeah. Absolutely
agree. I think the thing that's crazy is actually they took Donald Trump off the PlayStation store as well, and
the games he was putting out were very offensive.
They were offensive games. You can't get on Parlor on the PlayStation 5 anymore.
I was kind of happy to see that go, because honestly, my aunt could send me a few less friend requests to play Mines at the Border, and I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't know what I think about it, because it's like pulling it seems crazy. Have they ever done that with a game before, Nathan?
I've never heard of it before.
Like, did they pull No Man's Sky? Because No Man's Sky was the last one I remember when it came out, people being fucking like legitimately furious. And then after a year, it was fine. But then after a year, it's like pretty much what they promised. Yeah. But like, they were like refunding money. Dude, refunding money and then also taking it off the shelves digitally is insane.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine they have some kind of structure where there's an insurance that they probably get for it, and then they probably still get repaid later, because people who are late to the game just go like, oh, well, fine, I'll still buy it. It's good now.
Yeah. And I think that's what it will be. I said when we did the episode last time, like right before it came out, is I'm going to wait until I have a PlayStation 5 and I'll get the Game of the Year edition.
Yeah.
That is the
$35.
Yeah, with all the DLC in 2 years when it's playable and fucking fun.
Uncle Page says, I think it's Keanu's fault, which, I mean, it could be.
Oh, no.
Uncle Page is correct.
No, you guys are fucking full of horseshit. You know, Keanu Reeves once rode a motorcycle from Canada to LA to pitch a script, and that script was about his life. And you know what it was called?
Hardball.
Point Break.
Oh.
I'm going to say that's all satire. I don't know if any of that's true. I apologize.
Yeah. Dude, he shows it. That would be funny if a screenwriter's pitching stories as if they're true life story, no matter what it is. Like Keanu Reeves is literally just like, all right, the story's about me. I'm a baseball coach in an inner city, and one of my one of the black kids I coached for, he got shot, and that's how it works. And it's like, all right, we'll film Hardball. Okay, whatever. That makes sense, Keanu. You've already been in 30 movies, but sure, this is your life. Dude, it's like I haven't played any of it at all, so I can only make a grand generalization that Keanu Reeves is the best part of the game. Now, that's the only thing I could take, and that's just because of how good John Wick is.
Yeah, that seems what I keep seeing online too, because I won't commit to it because I only have a 1, so I'm not, going gonna buy that shit. And
You're too busy still playing Sea of Thieves or whatever the fuck.
You bet your ass. You know what I do on Sea of Thieves now? I get on people's boats and I explain the difference in private and personal property and why socialism is the way that we can separate ourselves and finally like break chains, that our country's been held down by for hundreds of years.
That's awesome.
And you know who hates that? 17-year-olds who are playing with their friends
on Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Everyone who's actively on Sea of Thieves hates it.
Fuck up! Can I swear? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Mom,
Absolutely.
what's a Marxist?
Some guy keeps telling me to read Das Kapital.
Yeah.
His avatar is red.
No, Mom.
Yeah,
I told him Hitler was a socialist. He doesn't really seem to.
He calls his hook his sickle. It's really weird. It's
Yeah.
fire.
He got a hammer and sickle. That's fucking great. What about you, Nathan? Barry White, Mr. Hanson? What do you think for the old cyberpunk thing? Do you think it's okay?
I'm torn because I've seen a lot of PC ports that have been shit. Like, we've gotten a lot of ports from PC that are just like, well, this is garbage and unplayable. So it's kind of funny to see the console people get their comeuppance on that sense. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I feel like they should have given them a chance just because of the circumstances of COVID and stuff. Like, they couldn't do the last 6 months in their office. So, like, it was all remote. So, I would imagine there was going to be bugs anyways. I do think that the only reason they rushed it is because people were, like, foaming at the mouth for it.
People would have lost their minds if they had done another, like it's going to be another 6 months. People would have lost their goddamn minds.
Yeah, so I feel like it's like a double-edged sword. I feel like they couldn't have won either way. I feel like they hyped the game up too much to where, like, you knew people were going to get disappointed.
Well, Uncle Paige, I can't remember if he did it when he was on the episode or if it was just him and I talking privately, but Paige made a great point when he was talking about it's like this is one of the things that happens when you debut. You have a game coming out 3 or 4 years before the game's supposed to come out.
Yep.
Like, it's like people are just, they want it so bad that it's like, if they had announced it like a year ago, doing another, or a year and a half ago, doing another delay wouldn't have been a big deal. But when people have already been waiting basically an entire presidency to play this game, you can't keep pushing it back.
Yeah.
And, which is a great point made by Paige Campbell.
He's a smart boy.
He is.
Such a nice young man. Yeah, and I thought it was nice when I was looking at for topics this week. One of the things I saw was Cyberpunk announced that they would be giving away the first DLC for free.
Yeah.
As like an apology, but they prefaced that by saying it won't be out anytime soon, which means they're definitely
yeah. Everyone's getting a stimulus download in 2022.
Yeah.
Of the DLC. It'll be right in your Wells Fargo account.
Direct deposit gaming.
Yeah. Ooh, I like it. In the future, you just get paid in games.
Yeah, exactly. So, I saw another funny thing. Star Wars fans have been petitioning to remove the new sequels from canon. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
I say this as somebody that at his mother's house has 2,200 video games and a series of collectibles. Get a fucking life. All right, what are you doing? Who cares? Just don't watch it. Don't enjoy it.
Yeah. Why? It's such a fascinating thing that people get so like caught up in it. I mean, like, what do people get this upset with different releases of the novel series? Like, were people on early AOL like click-clacking back and forth about like which one should and shouldn't be? Like, I mean, is this just is this a perpetual motion machine that no matter what happens, it's just going to be an endless amount of dudes who are really upset about, let's be honest, something else, and this is just where they're taking a lot of it out on?
And it's weird because it's like, and it might just be because of like nerd culture is really popular and stuff now, but historically with nerds being bullied and the shit kicked out of them and these things being considered weird. You like people having such an intense ownership over someone else's intellectual property has always seemed like insane to me.
Yeah.
Like you can love something and not feel an ownership of it. And it's like that's always been, because I feel like the Star Wars fans are like, this is mine. And it's like, it does not belong to you. It belongs to the Disney Corporation.
Yeah.
It is theirs.
Yeah.
Well, and in a more altruistic sense, it belongs to the people that watch it. And like, it's a weird thing that I don't understand why people don't find more pleasure in sharing the enjoyment of the series as a whole with someone. Like, my wife didn't ever watch Star Wars, and you know what got her onto fucking Star Wars?
The new trilogy.
No, the one from when we were kids, the first one.
Phantom Menace.
Yeah, like we watched them through, and we just watched all of them, and that was the first one where she perked up. And I remember being like, I don't want to watch this one. We put it off for like weeks because I'm like,
she loved it.
Yeah, because I remember being a kid and watching it and being so disappointed and leaving the theater and being like, well, after the second time, because I watched it the first time and I was so caught up in it, I was like, yeah. And then like I went home and I was like, I was cool. I really liked it. And I started thinking about it and everyone's like, I didn't like this and this. I was like, well, yeah, I guess I didn't really like that either. And then when I saw it again, I was like, no, this is not what I wanted. This was not the Star Wars that I grew up like watching on VHS and shit. Like, this is so different. And I hated it for a long time.
I have more understanding of people being mad with the original trilogy re-releases than I do somebody being, because I totally get those three movies being your childhood and you loving them, and then George Lucas just changes shit. Like, I get that, but someone like, he didn't make the newest two trilogies weren't made for you folks.
Right. But I'm sorry, I want to push back on that, Winston, because the reason why I ever watched Star Wars is because my uncle got me the re-releases. Like, he got me the ones that had like additional footage, the like 97 or whatever. 96.
Yeah, and none of that bothers me, but the fact that you can't see it in its original format anymore.
Crazy. Sure. But I'm just saying that, like, it's this weird thing that like, it's like SNL where wherever you find it,
that's where it's the best.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
mine's the 90s, man. Farley, Spade, Sandler. To me, that's
Same.
the best. And that's purely because that's what I watched on Comedy Central reruns. I don't know, man. But yeah, I just never got the just being like, it's not canon. It doesn't mean the movie didn't get fucking made. Like, you're not unmaking the movie. Like if you don't want to consider it canon, that's perfectly fine. But that is one thing where like canon is decided by who created it. You can say you have the ownership of it because you watched it and like you gave them your money. I understand that. But if we're getting down to it as an art form, you don't get to decide what is and is not canon if you were not the creator of the piece.
Or if you want to, then like own that and see if people will follow. You know what I'm saying? Because like if there's like a sub-canon because of fan culture, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like if there's like a whole subculture where people are like, well, actually, if you're into like so-and-so, then this is the canon that we accept.
That's a fair point.
That's fucking dope. Like, because the beauty of it is it's art. So however you want to get at it. Just don't. I've
heard people be so mad at the new trilogy. They've been like, bring George Lucas back. And I'm like, do you not understand how angry you people were?
Yeah. Phantom Menace was not your favorite movie, so I don't understand.
It was very upsetting.
I also think that they're all fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all, I mean, have you seen movies that get put out every year? Have you seen the shit that they put out? Like, far and away better than any of the other fucking
Like, I liked all the movies in the new trilogy, and then watching the prequel trilogy, I am watching it and I'm just like, this is fine.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make me seethe with anger.
Yeah. Well, you also have to consider that these movies now are so high budgeted that you have to market it to more than just one audience. You can't just market it to the diehard Star Wars fans. Because then your movie doesn't recoup its money at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's kind of like the rub is it's never been about the die-hard Star Wars fans, because the first three were about George Lucas and his vision, or whatever the you know what I'm saying, that original story was that they wanted to tell, and then once you do it in the 90s and early 2000s, the movie budgets are so fucking huge. If you're not, I mean, you can't make a Star Wars movie and not make a bunch of money from it. Like, they'll never let you make another one. Like you have to. So like,
but that's a cool thing with the shift to They've got television shows and they've got video games. They've got all these other outlets to like. That's why The Mandalorian's so great. It doesn't have to make as much money as the movie does.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to do these things, and they can focus on this smaller thing because it's smaller. I don't know what the budget is. I'm sure it still has a nice size budget, but it's like there's no way it's the same budget as a feature-length Star Wars film. So, but I also understand their pain because I feel ownership of things too.
Yeah,
I get
but
it. Mostly
like
mine's sports.
Yeah, but I feel like you got to treat it like I don't know, like when it's kind of like when you buy an album from a band and it's like you've had like 3 albums where you really liked the albums, and then you get one album from them and it's like maybe an experimental album or something, and you're like, this just isn't what I was looking for. But to me, it's like different to be just disappointed in something and then trying to get it like removed. Like this should not be part of their discography anymore. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
Also, this might just come from someone that's like does stand up and
you do stand up
and made something. What? Yeah, I do. So I dabble from time to time, but it's like fucking. I feel like a lot of these complaints are from people that haven't made a thing in their entire goddamn life.
Yep.
And it's like, fucking make something. If you don't, that's fine. But I'm saying, like, I think I have much more empathy for people that have made bad movies and bad things since I've been doing stand-up comedy, because I don't want to be defined by a bad joke that I wrote and did a bunch because it worked a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, but that's part of the game. Make something, and I guarantee you'll feel a little bit better about your situation. Make something that you think is canon. Make your own Star Wars thing. Brandon's going to be in a fan Star Wars film, right? Yeah. You're doing the...
Oh, yeah. I'm fucking excited. I'm going all out, dude. Yeah.
What's that all about?
I told him, what is it all about?
Yeah. Like what's going on with that? I haven't heard about this.
So there's a comic who is making a Star Wars fan film, and it's intensive. There's like, he's done like a bunch of hours writing backstories, the whole 9 yards, man. Like, it's a bunch, and I love it, and it's way more than I could ever conceive of. And I told him, I was like, listen, if you give me the parameters, I will like do 110% whatever you want. So I'm some Jabba the Hutt-esque like warlord who...
Are you really?
Yeah, who's doing...
Because I was about to make a Jabba joke.
It is. I'm so excited. He's like, you have to be like a hopped up on cocaine psycho who runs like a like essentially like a Hunger Games-esque, like for fun style Royal Rumble. And
that's cool.
I'm just, yeah. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm very excited about it.
That's going to be cool. Oh yeah, it's also not canon. I don't know. I'm going to be
I don't think
if they
make
canon,
but it's also... It's like it fits in the lore somewhere, but we'll see. We're gonna apply for canon, and when we get back, we'll hang the plaque one way or the other.
But I love Star Wars. I love you, Star Wars nerds. Don't think that me thinking and
that was the first collectible card game I ever played. Was the Star Wars trading card game.
That's
big. It was big. It was my gateway into Pokemon.
Yeah, I got some good memories of watching Star Wars, man. So I totally get the feeling, the ties to it. But just
I mean, I probably spent at least 100 hours as a child on my back reaching for things, going like just like
choosing the Force.
It's gonna come.
So I used to have like a bunch of the toys, like the action figures or whatever from the 90s, and I would always make them fight on top of like one of my dad's guitar cases. And the only thing I would act out is I pretended it was every character in the universe fighting above a Sarlacc pit. And just not every time they fell off the guitar case, it was them getting eaten. Ah! And I made Boba Fett win every time. That's where I was at as a child.
So I saw an article recently talking about sports games, that they're going downhill. Do you all think that's the case? And what do you think we could do to fix that situation?
Stop making them every year. It's fucking insanity. It's absolutely nothing is getting that much better that you need to make a new sports game every year. And also do like downloadable like
Rosters.
Well, I'm just saying, like, so if you want to make a game every year, then make the online components like free or easier to earn things. Like, don't make me pay money for packs. Like, why can't I earn it with hours played? You know, like it's so hard to grind and get stuff if you're not paying money for online. Like I used to play NBA 2K, and I did not buy the new one this year because I'm done with that shit. And it's brutal. It just sucks because there's nothing that's getting that much better, and they keep making the same fucking games over and over again. And all I get excited for is who's in the my player mode, like who's voicing people. Like that's what I'm like. I'm paying $60 for this shit.
Yeah, the Madden games just suck recently. They're just not very good. So that's just more from like, I kind of agree. Outside of FIFA seems to be pretty good every year. Like my brother still loves it, and I don't really know anyone that plays FIFA that's not like, oh, this game is fucking great.
I still play FIFA 16 when I want to play FIFA.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying is I just need to get the newer one, but I played like FIFA 17 or 18 when they came out at Pat's house, and I was like, this is fun and I love it, but like
But it's the same because it is fun. Like they haven't strayed too much from it. But the 2K, I think, is just, if I'm being honest, it's too hard.
Yeah,
like it is
really hard.
Like and hard in a way that's like not difficult to play, but just like I used to love playing NBA Live because you could do 6-minute quarters and still have a game that was like 105 to 96.
Not in 2K. You got to know
not happen.
If your release timing isn't right, dog, that game is 25 to 36. Like,
yeah, dude.
Shit.
And that, and I don't know, man. I miss, and I get why they're not around anymore. But the sports games I liked the most were like college sports games, and they're not paying those kids, so I totally understand why we don't have them. But like NCAA football, I always liked better than Madden. Like March Madness or like college hoops, 2K 6, 7, and 8. I like those better than NBA 2K. And it's just like I think the gaming stuff is like the sports gaming stuff has just changed so much with like MLB going exclusive with Sony for a while.
That made me so fucking mad. I love baseball games. They're possibly the most fun thing to play when you're very drunk. And to have the show just be like the exclusive, and that was the end of the MLB rights. Like that sucked. I remember forever I was playing like arcade versions of baseball games, and I was like, why am I living this life? Like, why? I need to buy a PlayStation, but I'm not buying a PlayStation for a baseball game.
Yeah, no, that's not what you do it for. But that's like the part that's just so strange to me is with the like I loved MVP baseball on the PS2, like 04 and 05. Like I think those are like the best baseball games ever made. It's just 120-year dynasty mode. Like it's in like the type of dynasty mode where you could sim 15 seasons and come back, and it's like,
oh, that's the way to play. My buddy Jared and I, we used to eat a bunch of Adderall, and like I found these books recently, notebooks of years of NFL 2K of us simming through a fucking franchises from like 2K6 or before Madden or whatever, and like it's like needs, wants, don't needs for years of like positions because we'd sim seasons.
And then that's so cool.
Yeah, we like live. It's like Mexico City because we're gonna move the team to Mexico City because that's an option they get. Like you have like
so awesome. But it's I think the thing it's weird is like if I had to, we've been rambling, but if I had to pick a specific thing, I think we've definitely mentioned it. But like the moment there started to be exclusive things is when it's like, because in general, monopolies aren't very good. And like, you know, definitely socialism's cool or whatever, but I mean there is that capitalist mindset of like if there is no competition with Madden doesn't have to be good every year. And it's like, and it's the same way with like 2K. A lot of those games are great, but like, man, I would love for there to be also NBA Live or something like that every year to just be like, you have an option, because the way that I like to play sports games, 2K does not do it for me at all.
Yeah. Well, and you brought up a good point too about they're so hard now, and that was one point I was going to bring up is I've noticed that in recent years, because people complain about they don't change enough, it's like they add new button commands just to make the game different, but it's like I don't need 47 button combinations to make a pass. Like I just want 3 different pass options and that's it, and call it a day. And that's why I haven't played a lot of sports games recently. Is there's like it's like, dude, I miss the days of like a lot of the 360 older Maddens were great. Like I loved playing them.
Yeah.
But they were simple. They weren't,
that used to be something they would tout. I feel like Madden 08 or 09, there was like a thing where you played as a user profile so they could like adjust as you played against people who were better at the game.
Yeah.
I remember there being a commercial where like a dad was playing his daughter and like she was doing okay, like his like little like an 8-year-old.
Because they scaled it, yeah.
Exactly. And like she had a user profile and he had a user profile and they were like concentrating the AI. And I feel like they just kind of like, yeah, fuck that. Like that's enough of that.
Yeah.
We gotta make them sweaty. Can we make these guys more sweaty with more water on them?
I remember when the first thing Madden added that I was like, this seems like an extra thing that's going to make this game hard for me is when they did the quarterback vision thing where like you had to sway that. And it's just like, yeah, dude, I already know I play on a team with a terrible quarterback. Like I'm a Washington football team fan. All right. And I'm just like, haven't had a good quarterback really in forever, especially not when they introduced that. And it's like, awesome, great. Mark Brunell's thing is like fucking big.
43-year-old Mark Brunell.
Oh, yeah. Brett Favre's is just the whole fucking field, huh? Great.
That's what happens when you show your penis to a personal trainer in New York City when you're on the Jets. All of a sudden, your QB vision gets huge.
Yeah, QB vision made me fear. I remember just seeing that and just being like, this is the beginning of the end. This is the end times for me.
And what happened to Tiger Woods golf? Tiger Woods golf got so much worse. Like that game used to be great.
I used to love that game.
Tiger proof the course, dude.
But I love Tiger Woods golf.
I like the Hot Shots golf games. Those are like my favorite golf games. They're so silly and fun. Golf games are fun. And that is probably the biggest distance between how much I actually like a sport in real life and how much I like the game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Dude, and so my dad, when I was little, it was like the first. We never had video games in our house. We could only rent game systems because my parents like weren't going to do that. And so we had an old ass like Apple II maybe the next one after that in my room, and we had a golf game. And it was a game, one of those games where like in order to prevent piracy, you had to have the manual. And when you booted up the game, it would be like ask you a very specific question that you needed to have the manual to answer. Like it would be like, for TPC Sawgrass, what are the golden tees? What's the average distance? And like it says it in the book, and you got to look it up, and then it lets you play the game. And it was a game where literally spacebar, you would start the swing, spacebar to power, and then spacebar again when it came back. And I would wake up at like 11 o'clock at night to my dad hunched over our computer in our room with like a Miller Lite and just hear like tick, 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 son of a bitch. Like, tick, tick, God damn it. Like, just.
It is funny. That's like I think the drunkest I've ever seen someone playing a game is a golden tee at a sports bar.
Yes.
There's no one drunker than the guy that has just come from the course.
One eye open.
He's been
like
drinking all day.
On the ball.
And drunken Pac-Man.
Yeah.
So consoles have started moving away from hard copies of games. Do we think that's a good or a bad thing?
I like it because I'm very bad with games and breaking them and stuff. So it's nice to be like, if I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, it makes sense. I get it. I totally do. My two reservations are, as a collector, it's a bummer. Where it's like with Sony and wherever having the ability to take a game away at any time that they want to take it away, and it's just like this game could just be lost to time, which is pretty upsetting. But the other thing is like, I don't know what the number is now, but it's something like 25 or 30 million households still don't have access to good internet or something in America. And it's literally like when I was living home with my mom, she lived in the middle of nowhere. I never had Xbox Live or anything like that. So downloadable games weren't an option for me. So that's where I think it's kind of a bummer, is you're kind of fucking, it is a smaller percentage of the population, but a group of people where having that fast internet access isn't reasonable. Like it's impossible to do.
Yeah.
Well, that, and I think that I think the other thing is, as these consoles get older, the support goes away. So what happens when your 360, you can no longer download that game, and you have a library of 500 digital games that you spent all this money on, and now you have no way to access them.
Yeah, you own nothing.
Yeah. So I think that's the main thing is I would like to see some kind of support to where, you could have a USB drive, and if it no longer supports it, you can just go on a computer, find the file, download it, put it on your.
I think that's perfectly fair and reasonable. I don't know, man. It's just something about, and also we don't talk about this. And I know they're already on their way out, but just like, not even GameStop, but the used game. And I think I'm just so nostalgic for it because there was literally nothing better than like going with my dad and going to a GameStop or a Funko Land or a Babbage's, and then afterwards going to a Blockbuster. Like just that thing of going in there, holding a game, being able to look at it and making that decision. And even though they fuck you on trade-ins, there is just something kind of cool about if there was a better system where you would get more money for your trade-in, of trading things in to get stuff, like this bartering system to get different weird games.
Yeah,
plus you have like the whole community aspect too.
Yeah, you're right. The community aspect.
Look at 8-Bit Oasis, where we did comics and consoles before. Like, that place does Magic tournaments. That place does, gaming. It's like Smash Brothers tournaments and stuff. So it's like you meet more like-minded folk going into these stores and stuff like that.
I agree. What were you saying about the dollar thing, Brandon?
Oh, nothing's better than $1 used game bin for a generation before. Like when Xbox 360 came out, I loved playing Xbox. I went and bought every fucking Xbox game I could. Remember I told you about that weird
Death Row, dude.
Yeah, that game. My brother and I found that we're like, what is this? It's $1. Who cares? And we played that game for months, like on end. And same with rugby. I never would have learned what the rules of rugby are. But my brother and I bought it, and we were like, oh, shit. Well, the scrum is forming, brother. Like, we're in it now.
Yeah. And also, like, this might just be me. $1 to like $1 to $4 for a physical copy of a game. It is easier for my mind to compute that that's a reasonable purchase than spending $4 at an online store.
Yep. It's weird, right? It's very strange because when I leave, if I spend $15 online, there's not a satisfaction that when I leave a store with like 4 different games that I can thumb through and be like, look at this one, look at this one, read the back of this and this. And
and we also used to let people borrow games. Like letting a friend borrow a game. And I know there's some people that console share and stuff like that. But like in general, the idea of just like, I just picked this up. Do you want to try it? I don't know. I like that.
No, my little brother lent games to people that never came back. So I had a very...
Yeah, that's evil. That's wrong.
But no, you can come to my house and play it all you want. That's fine. But
enter my domain.
Just move the GB over. Don't spill it, please.
Oh man, it's funny because this is one of the few things that my mom has a very strong take on. Like she like has actively been like, because she'll sometimes read my game magazines like when because I just leave them in the bathroom at my parents' house, and she was just like, I can't believe that they're just going to forget about all those gamers in rural areas. It's so funny that she has such a hot take on it. It's like, yeah, Mom, I agree with you. She's like, if they do that, she's like, you could have never played any games.
It would have been good. You can't go to Toys R Us and buy a game. You can't ask the man to open up the glass case.
Dude, it felt so. That's such a. Dude, having someone have to open up a case to grab a game is that anticipation. You're with your parent, and they're like, "Hey, can we get you to open the case?" And it's just like you're waiting, and it. The door, getting the guy, opening the door, taking the game out, handing it to you, having to go to the front to pay for it. It's like this is what it's about, dude.
One Bomberman 64, please.
Yeah, one.
And then back in 1 week, one player's guide to Bomberman 64.
I'll have your finest Pokemon Snap. Is there any way?
That was the first game that made me sick, dude. I love that game so much, but I was so like, I gotta find all these damn Pokemon that are whipping the fucking camera all over the place. And I was like, oh, Motion sickness. Is that a slow bro? Like
that was just fun, man. It was fun to like throw an apple and hit a Pokemon in the face.
yeah, really taught conservationism.
Yeah.
See an animal you like, whip some fruit at it.
So we've asked this question to some of the other guests. Beswick, what is the most tilted or pissed off you've gotten at a game ever?
Oh, Minecraft all the time, because Minecraft just does that to me.
Minecraft, really?
Yeah, dude, I don't know why I like it so much. I have no. Clay Shove showed it to me in 2013 or 14, and I was like, "This is the best thing I've ever played," and I've played it ever since then.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it makes me so mad because I'm very stupid. Like I can be smart at times, but when it comes to like engineering tasks, like I'll spend like an hour doing something, and I'm like, all right, let's take a look and see how this. Wow, that's terrible. I've done this is an abomination. No one should see this. And more things kill me. Like I was playing yesterday, and I caught fire and thought for sure I was out and was like, okay, I'm good. And all of a sudden I just fucking died. And it was a time where I had way too much stuff and all of it ended up like falling into some lava. And that means I can't have that no more. So, and it literally was like an hour of me skulking around, and my wife, because I'm a 33-year-old man, is like, what's wrong? And I'm like, well, I lost some pretty important armor in some lava in Minecraft.
So I'm angry.
Yeah. So
now you have to deal with it.
You're going to have to fold laundry tonight, okay?
It's kind of been a fucked up day.
How can you expect me to look at clothes when I lost my armor?
Yeah, right? What do you mean talking about buying a house? I'm having problems with my cow crusher. Can't you see?
Folding clothes. I could have folded my armor had I not died.
Yeah, had I not lost my armor in the fire. That's so funny.
It's weird because now my nephew plays Minecraft, and he just got an iPod Touch or something like that can make FaceTime calls.
Yeah.
And so he's calling me, and I'm trying to like teach him about like what it means to call people. And sometimes I'm not going to answer, but I'll call you back, and you just got to deal with that and stuff like that. And I missed a call of his, and I called him back later, and I was like, hey, I'll always call you back. And he goes, but why? Why can't you just answer, Bronco? I have Minecraft questions I need answered like when I call you. And I'm like, listen, you don't pay me to be your Minecraft expert. So.
I'm not always on Minecraft, nephew. Sometimes.
To tell me about swords for 10 minutes. And I'm like, all right, dude, we're going to have to
That's awesome.
About this because this is getting out of control.
That rules, dude.
I'm at work.
Yeah, right?
Leave me alone.
What's going on? Are you alive? Okay, well then I feel like I've done everything I need to as your uncle.
I almost threw my Switch the other day playing Super Mario Galaxy, so that's where I'm at 30 years old, getting rage quitting. Like, I didn't remember the level. I just know that I died like 12 times in a row, and I was fucking furious. Putting the system away and returning to it.
Do you have this is happening to me with the Star Wars Force Awakens, because I got the I got the Ultimate Pass, so I got that on Xbox, like a bunch of games to download, and that came up, so I was like, hell yeah, let me play this. I refuse to change the setting out of principle because I should be able to play this on normal, and there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to, but I probably could have beaten this game weeks ago, but I am so just getting my ass kicked constantly because I refuse to change level. Is that something that happens to you, like with the Mario thing? Like, could you dial it back?
Mario, you can't like really do that. Like, I don't know.
It's just levels, right? Progressively.
Yeah, it's just like what Mario it is. But on games where there is a difficulty setting, I am absolutely starting it on normal, and the moment that it because my thing is like, if I can't beat it, it's not fun for me. And my thing is like, there's been plenty of games that I've really enjoyed that I didn't beat because I will play a video game until I am not having fun with it anymore because I am 30 years old and I'm too goddamn fucking old to play a game that is not fun. And I'll just be like, all right, well, then let's get online and see how this ends. Oh, that would have been nice if I could have worked my way to that, but I didn't. So now let's move on to the next one. And I'll move that bitch to easy. I got no shame. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Easy? Yeah.
And it's really bad when you're streaming and you start like a new game. I've had this happen a couple times where it's like, hey guys, we're playing this game. I'm excited to play it. And then you get to this one part where you just can't get through it. And you're just getting more and more pissed off and more, but you got people in there watching you, so you're trying to be like pleasant at the same time, and it's so bad. Like,
That's awesome.
I actually got to the point one time where I just was like, guys, I need 5 minutes.
Yeah, just give me a second, guys. I'm pretty upset.
I need to gather myself real quick.
Barry White's pretty angry.
Yeah, it's honestly playing online with a lot of sports games. Like that's. The last time I was playing 2K, I spent way too much time getting good at playing 13-year-olds online, and it was such a thing of I had to look at myself at 2 a.m. and be like, well, that's great that you've not lost 8 times in a row now, but at what cost, Brandon?
At what cost?
What are you doing?
That's awesome.
So we'll close the podcast out on a comedy topic. So I've seen a couple articles recently talking about Netflix specials for comedy, on whether they have hurt or helped comedy as a whole. Some people have said it has hurt the industry because there's just too much of it out there now. It's not a special thing anymore. Whereas other people in the mindset it's giving more lesser known comics exposure. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
I think it's great that more people are getting moved or getting the opportunity. I think the problem is that comedy has not changed the way it pays its performers since the 80s. Yeah. And so there is no place for someone who it's very difficult for someone who wants to make a living doing comedy if you don't have money to live on. So it's a weird thing where I think comedians are more, it seems to me that they're probably more upset because the opportunities seem like harder and harder to come by, I guess. But I think it's a problem with how people pay for comedy, and that needs to be addressed. And I think after the pandemic, I think people will start to see the value in that again. I agree. In live entertainment and in places where you can enjoy eating and stuff like that. So,
yeah, I completely agree with Brandon. I like the idea of they give so many of the specials out that it makes it feel more attainable to me. I feel like one day I will have some sort of television credit just because it used to just be the absolute best of the best, and it's really hard it's hard for me to picture being that good, right? Those people are so good, and it's oh my god, there's only 8 or 9 people that are probably worth having an actual special or whatever, but they're giving it to so many people. I love hearing new voices. I think that's really cool, but I think that the part that is probably the most frustrating is I think it can build a lot more resentment in the comedy community, because if you have more specials, you are unfortunately going to have more people getting them that's not ready for them, and it can lead comics who are feel like they're that close to just resent other people, because it's just fucking, how did this person get one? This thing isn't fair. And it's I don't know, man, you just gotta,
it's not fair. The whole thing's not fair. It's never been fair. That's the problem. It's that it's never been fair. And I think that in any kind of industry, that's what you think, I'm going to work the hardest and I'm going to do everything I need to, and it'll work out for me. And that is hopefully the case. But a large part of it is just sometimes people just know someone who knows someone, and now they got a goddamn special on Netflix.
And that's okay. I've gotten so being just that's okay. I'm still making my own lane and doing stuff, and I'll have people that will eventually like me. And if it takes me 15 or 20 years to get to that point, just that's okay. Because I used to not think that's okay. I used to be I need this now. But it's whatever, man. If I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it.
This is a great example of how everything has changed. You want to upend the way that comedy works? You have platforms now Zoom, Twitch, fucking YouTube, that give you a platform to put your shit up and then to make your own audience. And people do that. And it also, look at Joe Rogan's a great example of that man was a stand-up comic and he had a career, but when he was able to make his own lane, he's become untouchable. Like, what do you?
Yep.
Joe Rogan has Alex Jones on, and no one's bats an eye. Like, it's like, okay, that's just what Joe Rogan's doing. Like the idea that he talked to Bernie Sanders in the presidential election, and then also, has Duncan Trussell on in a fucking spacesuit is like, yeah, like this is fitting for a man who built like what he did. Like I don't really listen to Joe Rogan anymore, but like it's a thing that you can see and point to and say like, hey, if you build your audience, people are ride or die, and then
absolutely, dude.
there you go. Like,
Yeah.
You're correct.
My only concern is, kind of seeing what happened to the music industry, where as you look at 20, 30 years ago, and it's like if you were a band, you didn't really put out a record unless you had the money to put it out, or you had a label that was willing to put up the money to put it out. And, and that's kind of how comedy has been for a long time, is it's like you said, the best of the best. And now it's kind of changed to where, like, you can be a mid-level in, I guess, popularity, not even like a huge comic, and still have a special on Netflix. So it's like, how, and I don't think it'll get to the point where music did, where, people can record an album in their basement now because it's gotten that easy. But, you kind of see where I'm going with it, whereas it's like, if it makes it that accessible, how special is it really? Is it really a special, or is it just like another TV show at that point?
It takes some of the luster off of it, for sure. And I think that just comes with part of it. Like when you name something a special, it's like, because it's, what else would you just call it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, but with the word, when you hear the word special, you think it's supposed to be something, but it's like, no,
about how they can package it and sell it. That's what it's always been about. It started with records. How can we press a 45-minute long fucking record of a comic and sell that? So, like, you know what I mean? Like, then that was the natural thing. And then now we bring it over to TV, and like, you got your 5-minute spots that you're doing as like a guest on shows. So like everything is about pushing something else. Like you do your 5-minute spot so you can get to a point where you do your special, and then you have your special and you do your special, and it's in the hopes that you get some kind of writing deal or a TV deal. And like, it's all just set up to try to, as gates for you to make more money. But in reality, everyone's got their own taste and perceptions. And that I think the beauty of the internet is that there's plenty of room, if we all take care of each other, to like have that be your career, and have a fan base that is excited, that doesn't create, and that works their job and is happy in their life
and wants to watch you.
Exactly. Loves the idea that there is something that connects you to them as an audience member, to a performer, that they're, that they find value in. And that's, I don't know, that's the fucking
dream, dude.
That's it, man. That's the fucking nugget.
That is.
And things like Patreon have been like a great example of ways that you can, if you cultivate your own fan base, like literally your fan base will help support you. Like they will, help provide the gear you need to do what you need to do and stuff. And it's less needing distribution and less needing somebody to kind of like pay for your advertising and stuff like that. Because advertising is so much more manageable, to where, you can do Facebook advertising yourself. You can do all these things that 10 years ago you had to have an ad firm or whatever handle that for you.
Exactly.
So it's like, I do think you bring up a good point, where it's so much easier to cultivate your own following, to where I guess it means, the special maybe isn't as important as far as finding new fans maybe, but I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's as necessary with podcasts and stuff to like, because very rarely is the special the first thing you're seeing from a person. And I felt like it used to be someone's first TV credit outside of a late night spot would be a half hour or an hour long special. And it's like, oh, and that's how they would get their other stuff. And now it's like, oh, this person's on TV. Oh, this person has a podcast. So, and they do funny things. So yeah, we'll tell them to do stand up for an hour. We'll write them a check.
It's amazing the amount of people that do stand up now. You know what I mean? Like that are like improvisers that do stand up. Or I saw like people who are like Real Housewives, like Nene Leakes, I think, was doing the funny bone. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's this weird thing that I think is good, because I think that the way that stand up is now can't live forever. And I think that comes back to how they pay people. When you pay people nothing, then you're not there's not a source there, and you have to go to name recognition to sell seats.
Absolutely.
And like this is the I think we're the generation that gets to watch all of the chickens come home, and we're asking where have they been and what is happening? Why is this happening?
I agree.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think people have realized the importance of entertainment since this quarantine, whereas like before it was kind of an afterthought. Like you went out to a bar to see a band or a comedy show like when you just felt like going out or whatever, but you didn't like plan your calendar around like, oh, I gotta go see this show on this day, this show on this day, or at least the majority of people don't do that. Right. And I think that this kind of made people be like, man, that show that I stayed home for, I probably should have gone to that. And I think that a lot of these bands and comics and stuff like that have all been sitting at home, they've realized like, well, they need us to survive. Like, you know, without comics, you don't have a comedy club. Without bands, you don't have a music venue. Like, yeah. So I think that there needs to be more of a kind of, like you said, you know, let's look at the pay and be like, hey, these guys are living out of their car to provide entertainment right now. Yep. This is not cool.
It's a crazy thing to think that fucking Ralphie May, like that dude is one of the strongest stand-up comics of all time, and like hearing how he lived his life is sad, man. Like, yeah, dude. That dude should have been flying in comfort from gig to gig. He was a fucking monster of a comic, and like it's a sad thing, man. And honestly, it's like talking to, there was a comic who used to do stand-up version, but he doesn't anymore. And when he was like at the end of doing comedy, that's what he was talking to me about. And he was like, it's just an insane proposition to ask people to do this for this amount of money. And it's a crazy thing, man. But the problem is comics, well, you can't have a comics union because it's every person for themselves. That's how,
because literally someone will do your job for less money.
For nothing. Because someone has a dad who pays all their bills and wants to do comedy. And like that's...
So,
yeah, and it's like so much effort goes into like artistic stuff like that, like writing comedy, writing music, you know, anything like that, artwork, graphic design.
Well, I think it's a lot of it has to come with like, not everybody can do it.
Yeah,
I think most jobs, and I'm not saying jobs aren't difficult, most people can start a job at a business. And if you work at it hard enough, you will get good at that job. You will figure out how to work that job. When it comes to, I think, creating art and stand-up and stuff and reaching other people, if you're a bad comic, I'm not saying that one day you can't get funny, but there is no guarantee that just from continuing to do stand-up over and over again, and a person who's not really funny will get funny. Yeah. It's just, you got to have the hard work mixed with the natural ability, and just it's just so much that goes into it that, and I would never compare it to a hard day's labor, but I do think it is difficult in other ways because I feel like it's something that less people are actually able to do.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah, Winston believes he's better than everyone, is what he's saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm the reverse Dirty Jobs.
Without the court gesture, who will laugh at the king?
Yeah.
Speaking of my 5-star comedy, Grieving Productively and Radbot are available now.
Yeah, you can check those out.
I hope you EGOT from your special, dude.
Yeah, me too, man. Well, this is a good one, Barry White.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite was when Keith said that stuff about Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Keith really.
I kept checking the participants thing, waiting to see if he would log in. I kept being like, oh, "Here we go."
Keith really carried this podcast.
He did great. We'll have him on. We'll have him on one day.
Yeah. But this is a lot of fun. Be sure to check out Brandon Beswick at twitch.tv/Brandon Beswick. What times do you stream usually or typically?
6 o'clock on Tuesdays.
There you go, 6 o'clock on Tuesdays. Be sure to catch it. Be sure to give
Check
him a follow.
It out.
I do a lot of interacting with the chat and a lot of fun videos. So if you like being mean to a fat guy who's sweating in front of lights while trying to figure out what the fuck he's doing, come on over.
Come on down, baby. That's awesome.
And like I said before, be sure to check out Grieving Productively and Radbod from Winston as well. And follow Brandon Beswick on all the social media platforms as well as Winston Hodges. And we will see you all next week at 5
Next
p.m.
Sunday
Eastern on Comics and Consoles. You all have a great day.